Come on, Livingston. We gotta go on and on and on. Together we can make it. We gotta go on and on and on. Come on, Livingston.
Knocks it through. Mullen bursting into the box. Josh Mullen.
Together we can make it.
Mullen's ball across, it's turned in! It's Pittman who's got it! Livingston leads!
Road is long.
Now can they get the ball back in? O'Brien.
Lead! And Livingston have the lead!
Man, can score.
If we march together.
The full-time whistle blows and David Hayes celebrates! And the Livingston fans join in exultation.
Come on, Livingston.
Livingston have the lead against Rangers, and they are certainly rising to a few occasions on their return to the top flight in Scotland.
Come on, Livingston. We gotta go.
Hello and welcome back to Talk Livi, the podcast dedicated to everything Livingston Football Club and Scottish football, and possibly the weather on this week's episode as well. After we're recording this Thursday morning, after last night's events, as all Livy fans and Dundee United fans will unfortunately be aware of. But my name's Euan, and today I'm joined by Angus. Angus, how you doing, mate?
Aye, not too bad. Managed to defrost before coming on this morning. But looking forward to chatting about two wins along the way. Although the game last night was called off, we've got stuff to be positive about. Which we're going to get right into, I'm sure. What about yourself?
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. As I say, slightly disappointed about the game being called off last night because we're in a decent wee bit of form, so I was looking forward to it. But as you say, win for our men's team up in Perth at the weekend, and then our women's team were back in action, which we'll obviously come on to. But as always, you can find this episode as well as all our others on your preferred podcast streaming site. Just search for Talk Livi, so follow us or subscribe to ensure that you don't miss another episode.
We'll kick the episode off by discussing our victory in Perth as the Lions made it back-to-back wins on the road against St Johnstone.
Next up, our women's side were back in action, as I mentioned, after their winter break and made a winning return against Ayr United at the Tony Macaroni Arena.
And finally, we look ahead to our trip to Ochilview as the Lions take on League Two Stenhousemuir in the Scottish Cup.
It was another away trip for the Lions, this time to Perth to take on St Johnstone. A first-half goal frenzy and a late James Penrice thunderbolt would secure a 4-2 victory and back-to-back wins on the road for the Lions. Angus, what was your take on the game?
Well, we didn't get the bore game that we expected. 0-0 over here. Predicted it suddenly, and 15 minutes was clearly not on the cards. Incredible that happened, in all honesty. I think, coming into this, I don't think they've scored too many goals. We've not scored too many goals, but then, just something like that happens. And, I think sometimes, with teams like kind of, whenever you're playing kind of well, but not kind of scoring, you always kind of have that thing in your head where you're like, somebody's going to get like a doing one of these times. I did not expect it to be, at McDermott Park, in all honesty. I know things haven't been too great for them, but, against us, they've always kind of had, for the most part, when, likes of Effie Ambrose and that aren't, doing stuff to create very comical goals, they've been very, very solid against us. So I think that was maybe the biggest surprising aspect of it was, how easily we're able to, carve them open. You look at those kind of like first half goals, all very well crafted goals. And it's just, us playing into the spaces and stuff like that, and St Johnstone just couldn't cope with it. And it's kind of the play that we kind of look to do so with kind of like the fullbacks. And I think that was just the most encouraging thing from it was it seemed to be a performance from maybe the tail end of like last season, like that kind of like rich run of form that we had where we're playing with just so much confidence, and hopefully that is something that's been breathed into our team since then. Stephen Kelly as well can't get off to a better start. 2 goals in 15 minutes for him. We talked about the midfield that would maybe start into there. David decided not to change anything up, and it seemed to be very beneficial for us. That energy in the middle of the park, and then also that quality, gave us the tools to go in early on and, to create quite a gap between us and St Johnstone. Obviously, Penrice getting a lovely little wee flick at the end as well, the half. And I think as well for that, just going into half time, we're all just kind of thinking, let's just hope and make sure that we don't come out complacent. Perhaps maybe a little bit of that creeped in about the hour mark or whatever, to create a little bit of a nervy kind of moment for us. But coming through in the end with another fantastic goal. 4 great goals to score. Maybe we could have been a little more solid defensively, but I think if we're looking at this as anything but like a very positive performance, we're asking for a bit much.
Yeah, to talk about the surprise that we witnessed 6 goals in one game at McDermott Park, I think it would take a few seasons to accumulate 6 goals in our games at McDermott Park. But even the manager seems surprised by the halftime scoreline, which I think says everything. I think Davy was expecting a bit of what we were expecting, which was quite a turgid affair. But I'm not going to lie, I was kind of dreading it when I got to McDermott Park. They no longer do the steak and chorizo pie, albeit their steak and black pudding number was very, very good. I'll give them that, albeit still has a soggy bottom. This needs to be corrected, whatever butcher you're going to. But yeah, saw the pitch after the warm-ups and it had really cut up quite a bit, as you would imagine, with the weather that we've had, and you're kind of expecting it to be quite back to front football. But I think there was an element of how we played at times that slightly reminiscent of when we were in the Championship in our first season back in the top flight, which was, let's get the ball forward into the right areas and then try and play. And I think between Bruce Anderson and Andrew Shinnie, I think they're interchanging caused a lot of problems for St Johnstone's back three. Sometimes Bruce was dropping off and Shinnie was running beyond. Vice versa, their movement was very good together. And again, as I touched on, when we were in possession of the ball, it was almost like a 4-2-3-1 with Omionga and Sean Kelly sitting, with Stephen Kelly and Bradley out in the sides with Shinnie in that role as a 10. And I thought Andrew Shinnie was fantastic during the game, alongside obviously Stephen Kelly getting his 2 goals, and Stephen Bradley was fantastic as well. And anyone who's listened to the LFC live comments that Davey made about Stephen Bradley, saying he cannot believe that Hibs have let him go. Well, so far from what I've seen of the young lad, I'm thinking that myself, because I think he's been superb and he was excellent again at the weekend. And Bruce Anderson held his own against a physical back three. Yeah, as you mentioned, we started off very brightly, albeit St Johnstone had a kind of half chance that Dre Wright's put over the bar. But the first goal comes, good work by Devlin and Shinnie on the right-hand side to tee up the opportunity. I think it's Stephen Bradley manages to let the ball run across him to Stephen Kelly, and he's taking it on his left foot, and it's quite refreshing to see a midfielder of ours. This isn't a criticism of the likes of Holt, Pittman, Omionga, but sometimes they might want to play that extra pass instead of just letting fly, and Stephen Kelly doesn't seem scared to have a little dig at goal now and then. And on his weak side as well, he's managed to find the bottom corner. But Shamal George then was called into action, a good save from a Nicky Clark header, but we got that second goal, and again it was fantastic play. Bradley's picked up the ball in the middle of the park. It's a great ball down the side for Nicky Devlin. There's another player I thought looked really back to his best, was Nicky at the weekend, bombing forward, as we've seen in previous seasons and we see from time to time. But it's a great cut back, and we were right behind the finish from Stephen Kelly. Rolls it confidently into the far corner. As soon as it left his foot, it was one of those ones, because you're right behind it, you knew it was in. And you're sitting with that cushion, as you say, after 15 minutes. Albeit St Johnstone were getting in behind every now and then on our left-hand side. Trey Wright was causing us a few problems, but I think that was because James Penrice was pushing on quite a lot, because he was being given the opportunity to. And as you say, we had another couple of half chances. Bruce Anderson had one which was deflected back to Remy Matthews, and I think Stephen Kelly had a free kick just over. But we got that goal just before half time. Corners come in. Bruce Anderson, I'm sure Bruce will tell you it was an assist, but I reckon Bruce was going for an effort on goal. He seemed in the mood, and he seemed frustrated that he didn't get on the score sheet. But I hadn't actually appreciated how good a finish it was from James Penrice until I saw the replays back, and I saw on Twitter it was a back heel. Obviously, we're at the opposite end of the park, so didn't quite appreciate how good a finish it was from Penners, but that was his first goal in the top flight, and I think his first goal since 2019. So great for Penners, and it was only his second goal for the club. His last one came in our championship season when he was on loan from Partick Thistle. But you talk about that little uneasy spell we had. I think see the first 15 minutes of the half, I think we managed the game really well. Let's be honest, all the onus was on St Johnstone as the home side to try and come out a little bit. And I thought, as long as we stay in our shape, we're going to cause them problems on the break. Because I thought anytime we went forward at the weekend against St Johnstone, we looked like we could score a goal. Anytime we went forward, and it was the most threatening I think I've seen us all season in an attacking sense. And I think literally turned round to the likes of Andy and my dad and so on. I was like, we've managed this second half really well. And good commentators curse. Ball over the top. Morgan Boys has misjudged the flight of the ball. Initially, fantastic save from Shamal George from Nicky Clark, but it's been put back to Jamie Murphy, who came on at half time. He's managed to get a goal back, and then all of a sudden it's 2 goals back. Again, another half-time sub for St Johnstone McLennan. Again, good save from Shamal George from Jamie Murphy. I think on that front, Stevie May's been allowed inside too easy to have the initial shot, which is broke to Jamie Murphy. And we're a bit slow to react on the rebounds as well. But again, we kind of settled back into the game a little bit. And again, we still looked a threat on the counter-attack. And the 4th goal just knocks the stuffing out of St Johnstone right down in front of us. Great little bit of play by initially Stephen Bradley on the right-hand side, keeping the ball alive. It then breaks out to Jason Holt, plays the ball out to Penners. Great 1-2 with him and Stephen Kelly, and unbelievable finish from Penners. Rifles it into the top corner, and that was game over after that. But I think take out a 15-minute spell of the game where we conceded those 2 goals, probably from about the hour mark to about the 75th minute, I would say. It was a superb away performance, I thought. And as I say, it was the most threatening I think I'd seen us all season. We'd spoke about it. Was he going to make changes because of the type of game it might be? Davey stuck to his guns, stuck with the team that had got 3 points up in Dingwall. And to be fair, you can't fault the team. I don't think there was anyone who kind of had a subpar performance at the weekend. It was a very, very good away performance.
I think with that as well, one of the biggest encouraging things was, you can look at the bench as well, and you can see a number of options who could have came on to aid us in that way. In recent weeks, we've not had that luxury, whereas we've probably been like, our hands have been tied as to who we can actually bring on. Being able to bring on Holt and Pittman, even the likes of Guthrie coming back, gives us a different attack, like a striker option. You're not just leaving it all up to Bruce Anderson to carry it on his own. And yeah, I think as well, one of the biggest aspects of it is, we've probably got 3 goals there where, we've got players shooting where, maybe in other games, we're not taking those kind of efforts. 2 on the edge of the box from Kelly, and then, 1 from Penrice. How many times you've probably seen us get into those positions and, we've went, nah, we're going to recycle it again to try and get, maybe like a better crossing angle or something like that. So I think that's just something that's very, very encouraging as well. And hopefully the players will, continue in next couple of weeks, because, we've got plenty of players who've got great quality on the ball, and that was shown by, those 3 goals in particular. But yeah, absolutely tremendous to see, 3 points away from home against a team who are just notoriously being tricky for us. I think, there's a lot of unrest at St Johnstone at the moment as well. I think we kind of maybe capitalised on that. I think, was it like their fans were doing like a silent protest or something like that for the first half? And I don't think that first half performance would have helped their kind of status or their kind of feelings towards the club one bit. That kind of wee bit of a pile on there. Maybe that was something that gave them a wee bit of a lift, as the second half went on, as, they kind of got into it a wee bit more. But, to be able to handle that, put everything to the side and, to kind of comfortably come away with 3 points is just excellent to see. But I don't know if you'll see this, Euan, but, I don't know if you're too much of a FIFA guy, but our very own James Penrice is now in the FIFA Team of the Week. And this is just remarkable because, in terms of, Scottish football coverage and, EA Sports, it's very, very minimal. But guys, is that is that a good thing for the club to see, something like that? And we always talk about, how we always want like the fans to be like kind of like growing into like the club and stuff like that. It might seem silly, but something like this could go a long way to, to play like fans becoming more, inundated within the club.
Oh, Angus, you say I'm not a FIFA fan. I love playing the FIFA on the line.
You like the
Uh,
PlayStation?
oh yeah, I love the PlayStation. I'm always playing it on the line. But no, I did see that on Twitter. I'll be honest, I'm old, Angus. I'm not really aware of what these player card things are, what they mean, what they do. But well played, Penners. Well done. You got a wee card. Well done. That's really good. Top performance, Penners. But no, it's good. I saw Stephen Kelly made the SPFL Team of the Week. That's something I can relate to more, Teams of the Week and things like that. But no, it was as I say, it was a very good performance. Really good point you've made there about the bench. We were sitting, saw the team as we were coming up to Perth, and that was the thing. We were sitting in the car going, Ken, what? We've got a good bench there as well. We've got a good squad to pick from there. And as I mentioned again about the surface, it was probably quite a heavy surface, probably quite energy sapping, I would have thought. And I think Omiyonga had just picked up a yellow card, and it was Omiyonga and Shinnie that came off for Holt and Pittman, and it just gives you those fresh legs. And you know what Holt and Pittman are. They're like Duracell bunnies, can run for days. And even just having another option in terms of forward, like Guthrie coming on, who's a bit obviously very different from Bruce, but just having another option there. You still had Bahambula, you had Montano on the bench as well, who could have made a difference as well. So it was really refreshing to see these players back available, and hopefully that sets us up going into the second half of the season, just waiting for a very big physical number 19 to come back to complete the package. And then we're looking very good for the second half of the season. But in terms of going into the cup tie at the weekend, would you stick again, or do you see maybe Davy giving an opportunity to other players to get a few minutes under the belt? Not writing off Stenhousemuir, it's going to be a banana skin potential cup tie, but do you reckon that's probably in Davy's thinking?
Possibly so, yeah. Obviously, you're looking at the gap between the divisions and saying that you can afford to maybe give some players some more game time or whatnot. And I think it is something that should maybe go in. I think it just depends. It'll be interesting to see, how far you kind of go with that. Do you bring in somebody who's been struggling for game time and urgently needs fitness, like Conchalves? Do you bring somebody like that in, or do you use this as an exercise where you can possibly get, like so Bruce Anderson a couple of goals, and that can help bring the confidence in there? I'm not too sure. I think obviously now we've got kind of a wee bit more of a healthier squad that we can kind of possibly move this around. You are able to do 5 subs as well, so perhaps maybe if things aren't going too well, half time or whatnot, you can bring on some of your kind of like key starting players. But yeah, obviously you don't want to be taking it too far where you're making it seem as if you're taking it very, very lightly. You want it to be as normal intensity as possible. Perhaps obviously we're playing Hearts the weekend after as well. Do you want to keep that same kind of team going so that you can go into that with momentum? So for that reason, I think you could possibly see a similar lineup coming in. Maybe like support Pittman and Holt will come in because the suspension there, you need to build up a wee bit of match fitness for them if you're wanting to choose them against Hearts. But yeah, again, no, honestly, you're looking at that team, the 1-4-2 just there. I don't think you have any complaints if he's stuck with it yet again.
It's a good headache for Davy to have, isn't it? It's a good headache ahead of the cup tie. So he's got options coming back. But I think probably the Ross County game, he was forced into playing the team that he played almost a little bit, other than maybe a couple of players here or there. Whilst this time round he's got a full squad just about to pick from. So it'll be interesting to see what he goes with for the cup tie. But Angus, I mentioned we're going to become Sean Batty for the next little bit. We would have had a review of the Dundee United game, which should have gone ahead last night. However, it was postponed. As you can imagine, our quotation marks all-weather pitch is getting a bit of a slating just now, even though there's no such thing as an all-weather pitch. But what was kind of your take on it, looking at it? I know you live nearer the stadium, so you've probably got a better perspective than I do of how it's been through in Livingston the last few days.
Yeah, obviously the kind of like snow comes there, and the council don't really do an awful lot to to kind of clear up the surrounding areas for the most part. And coming into the game, I think what we had half the pitch like cleared for training and stuff like that. For me, the main issue kind of comes from the first pitch inspection. 3 o'clock, apparently, the game was deemed to be suitable for playing on. This is apparently against the comments of Liam Fox and David Martindale. Both managers apparently deemed it, dodgy, I think it was put, for it to be passed by, the officials then, for it to then kind of like hold up for, only 4 hours later. Well, not even that. Was it only about 3 hours later that it soon would be called off? I don't think that the temperatures here were that bad to make that much of a difference to it to completely like freeze up within that kind of time frame. It was cold here, but like it wasn't that kind of way where it's going to make that detrimental kind of impact to it. So I think there just needs to be something asked about it. One, why has the game been kind of past that inspection in the first place? Like what has gone into place there? Like what state was it in at the first? Or like is it true that in terms of both managers were discussing it and saying that it doesn't seem fit for the game yet again, only to be passed by the officials for them to then come back later on once fans have started travelling through in that. And then also as well, like if that first pitch inspection was perfectly fine, what has happened in that 3 hours? Like how is the pitch been able to not withstand that kind of temperature to succumb to the game yet again? I think it's just a bit of a farce in all honesty. Any game that's kind of cancelled that close to kickoff, obviously there's things that you can't do an awful lot about, but in this circumstance it just seems very, very silly and just a bit very, very daft in all honesty.
Now, I don't want folk thinking I'm being critical, blaming the club in any way right here. I think I agree with you. A large portion of the blame has to be laid with the SFA officials that came and looked at the pitch and passed the initial inspection. I'd question whether the inspection took place too early, personally. I think they maybe should have delayed that pitch inspection an hour, maybe even an hour and a half, to around about 4:30, where it started to get a little bit colder. You maybe get a better perspective of the pitch, being a little bit closer to kickoff, but probably leaving enough time that folk haven't started travelling yet. I'm not sure. But if both managers have turned round to the official and said the pitch it's risky, and an official, supposedly according to what was said on Sports Sound, the fourth official has looked at the pitch for 90 seconds. Now, I'm no expert, but I doubt any official can assess an entire football pitch in 90 seconds as to whether it is deemed playable or not. And if that's the case, the SFA need to be taking a large portion of the blame. Where I would question the club is, could the club do more to protect the surface when the conditions are like this? And I've read the comments that Callum Carson had with David Martindale about putting covers down, and the issue is if it snows, you've then got snow on top of the covers before you can remove it. You can't get machinery on to move the snow when the covers are down. So I kind of understand the complications there, but is there maybe a little bit more in that situation where there wasn't snow forecast? Could we put the covers down just to give an added layer of protection? I don't know. I'm no expert, as I say, but again, the temperatures were, if we compare it to when the game was called off just before Christmas, the temperatures had reached like -10 in areas of the country, even lower, I think, in some places. And I know Livingston probably would have been hit quite badly, but the temperatures have been like that for a full week. Now, I was coaching on the Saturday that game was called off, and we coach on a 3G pitch, and that game got called off in the morning. So I was fully expecting our game to be off as well, because the pitch was rock hard. So we had to call off sessions on our pitch. So that one I could understand, because the weather, it had been so cold that the pitch would be frozen up. It was -1, -2, and it had been milder during the day, and the game still called off. I think the Motherwell game, David made comments about the players saying the pitch was like ice as well. It was a bit slidey when we played Motherwell at New Year. So there's maybe a question mark over whether the club could do a little bit more. And that's not a dig at the club, by the way. Let's make it very clear. I know that there's a short amount of staff at the club, but could we put the covers down just as a precautionary if we've not got snow or anything forecast, just to give it an added little layer of protection for when these games come along. But as I say, where I would put most of the blame is towards the SFA officials that have come and deemed that pitch playable, because I was one of those fans that had already turned up to the stadium. I was sitting in the Allenvale Street. My dad was travelling from Forfar, which he does every week for games. He was at Rosyth when he found out the game was called off. There was Dundee United fans that had already turned up in the Allenvale Street. I felt terrible for, who had made that journey down. So there's been zero consideration given to the supporters in this instance. And even when I was walking back to the car, there was still Livingston fans turning up. And I was telling them the game was off and they thought I was taking the piss. But I'm not going to start walking back to my car 45 minutes before kickoff. So so don't think I was joking. But it's frustrating. It's very frustrating. But I think, as I say, a large portion of the blame has to be at the officials' door who have passed that inspection initially. But question marks over whether the club can maybe do a little bit more to just try and protect the pitch, or certain areas of the pitch, which we know, I think, the goal mouth at one end, I think the corner next to the office block that don't get a lot of sunlight. Is there anything we can do to protect those areas of the pitch a little bit more when we know that there's going to be these temperatures? But look, game was off. Unfortunately, it's going to be rearranged again, but we start Saturday with Scottish Cup glory beckoning for the Lions this season.
Our women's team were back in action after the winter break against Ayr United. Despite a sluggish first half that saw the Lionesses level at half-time, they would end up coasting to a 4-1 victory. Euan, we were both there on a very, very cold morning. Cold afternoon, evening. What do you call it? 4 o'clock kickoffs.
Evening.
The 4 p.m. kickoffs, man. These are a bit. We're not a fan of these, are we? We have to say this to begin with. Angus,
I know you like a wee lion and stuff, but 4 p.m.'s not the morning, mate. 4 p.m.'s not the morning. Jesus. That was a very slick intro from the media student right there. But no, it was the 4 p.m. kickoffs. Yeah, I'm not a fan of them, but I still go along when I can. And first game back, first league action after the winter break for our ladies, and a little bit of a sluggish start, I would say. Shannon Mulligan had a header which came off the post. She also put a rebound over the bar as well. And then we did go in front. Good bit of football. Ashley Fish has played Lucy Brown in down the left-hand side, who's rolled it across, and it's a good finish by Brogan Anderson, just rolls it away. But as I say, it sounds like a great start, but it was a very bitty sort of half, wasn't it? It was, and I think Ayr caused us a lot of problems, particularly balls in behind, and they had a few opportunities themselves, so dangerous counter-attacks. So they were a very tough opponent, and they got what I thought was a very deserved equaliser at that point. Free kick from wide on the right-hand side, and it's a glancing header which is going across Charlotte Ferguson into the far corner. And they also had a long-range effort just before half-time, which went just over the bar. And as I say, at half-time you're going, might need to make a wee change here to freshen things up, in particular in the middle of the park. And credit to the coaching staff. I think that's exactly what they did. Made a couple of changes. Brogan Anderson dropped in almost as a number 10, which from the games I've seen her play probably looks like our most natural environment on the pitch, is a little bit deeper where she can get involved in the game a little bit more. Jen Dodds came on as well, and Beth Mackay made her debut on the left-hand side, and the changes really did make a difference in the game, albeit Ayr still had a very good chance which broke them on the edge of the box. Ferguson's come out at the attacker's feet, the ball's broke to the edge of the box, and they've put that opportunity wide, but the girls capitalised. Jen Dodds made the biggest impact probably out the subs. Shannon Mulligan's put across the back post, and it's an easy header for Jen Dodds into the back of the net, and she's got her second one as well. Again, really good bit of football. Brogan Anderson again on the great little turn to start the move off in the middle of the park. Played Lucy Brown in down the right-hand side, and it was a bit of a carbon copy of the first goal, to be honest, in a way, except on the opposite side of the pitch, and she's rolled it across and Jen Dodds has slotted the ball home. But as I say, the difference in the second half in terms of our composure on the ball and playing through the thirds a little bit more was really good to see. And the third goal again, it was good football. Jen Dodds with the initial pass to Beth Mackay. Her crosses broke out to Shannon Mulligan, who's good first touch, and she's fired the ball into the bottom corner. But it was a night and day performance, I have to say, a bit Jekyll and Hyde between the first half and the second half from the girls. But as I say, the credit to the coaching staff for the changes they made at half time, because they made a big difference in the game.
Yeah, talking about a Jekyll and Hyde performance is kind of a perfect way to discuss it. Bar that goal in the first half, pretty dreadful for the most part, in all honesty. It was very, very poor. It just seemed to be complete lack of urgency. I don't know if it was, I think I seen Jen talking to Carson about it, and it said about like rustiness and all of that. And I think that very well may be the case. It just seemed as if just nobody was kind of, looking for the ball. It seemed to just have like a big massive disconnect from, had the back three, and then you had like Gemma sitting in front of them, and then about 30, 40 yards, and then the kind of like forward kind of line in the midfield, and nobody kind of coming in between, to kind of get on the ball. And I think, for the first half, that it led to, obviously nothing kind of being created out with of, the goal. Very, very good goal, to be saying that, like, which is the kind of confusing thing of it, is that, we were struggling to do kind of like normal kind of bits of play, and then, 2 seconds later they go and pull something like that out of the bag, which is, it shows you the quality that they do have. But yeah, the first half was just very, very odd. Nobody kind of like looking to drop into get the ball. We know what the likes of Lucy and Sharon can do on the wings. Nobody kind of dropping off to kind of playing them in. It was all just a very much a very, I don't know, just a very poor performance in the first half. And to be fair to Ayr, I think they had like the lassie who was the number 10 for them, who was kind of running the game for that first half. In all honesty, was running through the middle very at will. They're playing passes and all of that. And in all honesty, if we went in half time losing, we'd have absolutely zero complaints, because Ayr were the better team. And I'd even say that Ayr were the better team for the first 15 minutes of the second half as well. Yeah, those changes then happen. We bring on Jen to go up front with Ashley. We bring on Beth to go into the left wing. And then dropping in Brogan Anderson, which was probably the catalyst for the game, kind of transforming. Brogan went in and quite simply looked for the ball and looked for forward passes, which gave us brought us up the pitch a whole a good 30 yards, in all honesty. And that first goal very, very well worked. Shannon Mulligan making a good run in behind, puts a good ball into the box, and Jen's there to poach in. The third goal, which I think this is what maybe the funniest aspect of this game is we're talking about perhaps one of the worst performances of the season in that first half, to then score, possibly my goal of the season so far. Again, we're talking about Brogan Anderson getting on the ball, plays an absolutely tremendous forward pass through to Lucy Brown, who takes a good touch and then crosses it into Jen, and it's just an absolute beautiful goal to watch, in all honesty. And I think that's maybe where the frustration comes from, to kind of watching it, where that they're capable of this kind of stuff. And the lassies will know this themselves as well. They'll be more frustrated than anybody in that first half performance that it wasn't, clicking at all, because they know that it can create stuff like that. And that goal was absolutely tremendous and just shows exactly what they can do on that forward foot. And they deserve great credit for that kind of way that they came out in the second half and started to play. Beth and Jen, I think, did make a massive difference to that. And, from that kind of point, they went 3-1 up, with only playing well for, maybe about 5 minutes. I think that kind of knocked the stuffing out of Ayr a little bit. And, we started to take a foothold in the game. And it was just night and day, in all honesty, how, they kind of went on from there to create further chances and all of that. I think Jen's unlucky to not get her hat trick. I think there's one on the highlights that it shows that she was probably actually onside, where she was robbed from a quick hat trick coming off of the bench. But yeah, Shannon Mulligan getting a goal as well. I think that's both on 8 goals this season, Shannon and Jen. So good to see. Oh no, wait, I think Jen is now joint top goal scorer with Ashley. Actually, I think there's 1 goal between them or something like that.
Oh,
but
come on,
yeah,
Stat. Oh, come on.
Honestly, let me see. Scroll down quickly.
You're the journal
Ashley,
for the women's team. Come
Ashley
on, you
and
should
Jen
know these
both
things.
I've got the fucking thing, jeez. Ashley and Jen both on 8, Shannon on 7 now. So, good to see like the goals from those kind of players like continuing to go through. Brogan Anderson getting one as well, who looks to be a very good signing. But yeah, I think it's just basically, I think we've talked about it quite a lot this season, Ewan, and it's like, it's getting, it's playing that football that we know that they can. It's doing that for the full 90 minutes. I think, we look at them as a good team. What can take them to that next level is just, applying that more throughout the rest of the game. We know at the back they can be solid, with Jess, Jen, and Jess, Tash, and Fee at the back there with Charlotte and goals. We know that side of the game's kind of comfortable for the most part. It just needs a wee bit more of the football side for the full 90 minutes.
Yeah, as I say, it was a kind of night and day performance from the first and the second half, and I think the coaching staff maybe need to find a way to accommodate Ashley Elizabeth, Jen Dodds and Brogan into the team at the same time. I think Jen and Brogan are two of the most intelligent players that they've got at their disposal. In particular, they're really good at dropping off into these little pockets. Is that maybe an idea going forward, playing Brogan that little bit deeper, as you say, to try and play through the thirds, and those forward passes that she was playing were very, very effective in the second half?
I would definitely say so. I think with Jen and Ashley, they're maybe more so just like strikers. I don't really see that the passing ability that Brogan has. I think that they're quite instinctive kind of players as well. I mean, you look at the 2 goals that Jen got, absolutely predatory instincts getting into those kind of areas in the box. Appearing at the back post, to tap them in. Ashley as well. Exactly what she's capable, and I think that both of them will benefit from playing alongside somebody like Brogan, who likes to get the ball in half turn and will look up to play a pass. Obviously, Brogan up front is a good option as well, but if she's going to drop in to play a pass, if she's up front, she's essentially looking for herself and is going to have to give herself, she can't pass the ball to herself. Essentially, she's going to have to play it out somewhere else to then make that run forward in. And I think we might lose a lot from that. But from seeing Brogan there, I think it's spot on that forward 3 should be in consideration for the most part of the games. I think Brogan's more comfortable playing in there. Number 11 as well, I have to admit, I'm just very delighted to see the lassies have a number 11. Favourite number, maybe a new favourite player, who knows, you, and just an absolute cracking number for a great player as well. But
no guesses what number Angus wears.
There you go, for the esteemed Livingston GS. That's what can I say. But yeah, that trio up front, I think that could be very, very exciting for us for the rest of the season.
Yeah, as I say, it'll be a good headache for the coaching staff to have to see how they can try and accommodate them. But it's a very tough game next up, away to Rossvale. It's where the girls have suffered their only league defeat this season. I think they lost 3-1 there earlier in the campaign. It's a good opportunity to really stretch that gap between them and the chasing pack, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I think we got beat off of Rossvale in one of the cups earlier this season as well.
Yeah, at the stadium as well. Yeah, got beat at home.
So I think it's always a kind of like closely fought match. And in all honesty, though, if we play, we did the way we did in that, final half an hour of the game, I think we should be kind of coasting to a victory. In all honesty, it's whether or not they're going to do that, especially away from home. It may be more difficult to do so. But fingers crossed that we can do so and come away with a victory, because a victory there would put us in very, very good stead and sends out a bit of a message as well. If they're one of the title challengers, and if you manage to beat them on their own patch, a wee bit of a psychological game comes in there as well.
Next up for the Lions is a trip to Stenhousemuir as the Lions start their quest for Scottish Cup glory. Angus, how are you feeling ahead of this one?
I mean, I should be confident because we're playing a team who are, many divisions below us. We're also absolutely guffing the Scottish Cup, though, aren't we? So I think you'll be able to tell me, when was the last time that we had a decent enough Scottish Cup run?
The last time we made it to the quarterfinals of the Scottish Cup was 2004-2005. And we lost 2-1 at Tynecastle. I can even tell you our goal scorer that day was Craig Easton, and that's without researching. So it's been a wee while since we've made very good progress in the Scottish Cup. As you say, it's not our favourite of the cup competitions in this country.
I know you're 20 years since that, but you've got to be coming into this game confident. Obviously, the way that we've been playing, sitting fourth in the table in the Premier, in the top flight, playing a team, in League Two. But I think that is the most important aspect of it coming into the game, and especially for the players, is to not take it too lightly. It is to make sure that the job gets done, and then that we can go on and have a good enough performance that we're not making it difficult for ourselves. We're not making it more tiring than we need to. Get it done early, and hopefully have the tie sealed, and can start maybe taking an eye onto the game against Hearts next week.
It's like every cup tie against lower league opposition. It's a banana skin potentially for us. If we don't turn up and aren't completely at it, and Stenny have a really good day at the office, you never know what can happen. But we went there a couple of seasons back in the League Cup when we had them in the group stages, won 4-0. Alan Forrest scored a couple of goals early doors against them, which really settled us into that cup tie. I distinctly remember that game during COVID because they had one of these automatic cameras,
Oh yeah,
which follows the ball, and the Twitter feed kept asking for Davy Martindale to put a hat on because the camera kept going to Davy's head whenever it went out to play, which was quite amusing. Again, pure cinch that moment. But yeah, it's a potential banana skin, but it's a tie we should be really, really confident of winning. Little heads up for any fans that are travelling through to the game. Ross Coots, a well-known fan amongst the Livi support, has organised kind of a function at the Plough, which is about a 5-minute walk from Ochilview. Free pies on offer as well, so any fans that are going through and fancy a wee drink and gathering with other Livi supporters, head there before the game. So well played to Ross Coots for organising that. So hopefully should see a good travelling support. I have fond memories of Ochilview for when we won the second division there, winning 3-0 on the day. Kyle Jacobs scored down in front of us at that terrace end. So I've got fond memories of Ochilview, and it's close to being a home game for me, living in Pullman, so it's not too far along the road. But yeah, it'll be a difficult game, I'm sure. Stenny have recently just changed their manager. Gary Naismith is the new manager. I think he was appointed just round about New Year or on Hogmanay. He's got good experience in League Two, having been at Edinburgh City for a couple of years prior to that. Probably, some would say, unfairly sacked last season when I think he had them just outside the playoffs. They ended up getting promoted in the end. But there's a few familiar faces that I'm sure we're likely to see during the game. A few ex-Livi players from our League One winning campaign. Sean Crichton, who's captain. Mikey Miller, a player I thought really highly of when he was with us, but only spent a season with us. And another one maybe not so well remembers, Thomas Orr, who we had on loan from Greenock Morton, and his loan was quickly cancelled. He wasn't that impressive for us when he was there. But yeah, there's a few familiar faces that we'll see, but I think that shows you that they've got some experience in their team as well. There's a few youngsters. One boy that's been quite impressive for them this year is one of their strikers, Matt Yates, who's scored 9 goals, had 11 assists as well. So he's somebody that we'll need to keep an eye out for. And one of their midfielders, young midfielder, Euan O'Reilly, 6 goals, 4 assists during the season this year as well, as another player we might need to keep an eye out for, who could potentially cause us a few problems. But we're going on an artificial surface. Here's hoping this one is playable on Saturday. But as you say, how do you maybe see us lining up? Are there any changes or any players you think Davy might give an opportunity to?
I think with the game being off yesterday, maybe changes it a little bit. I think he's maybe looking at this game now to keep players ticking over and make sure that we're in good place for playing Hearts. So perhaps it will be a similar lineup that we would have maybe expected to come in last night, or just like a normal league game. I think there are maybe some players who could maybe do with like a game like this. Maybe the likes of Conchalves, maybe even the likes of somebody like Phil Carr. But it's whether or not Davey wants to to take that, to use this as kind of that kind of exercise, or if he wants to use it in a way to continue the kind of good form that we're on. I think that is at the end of the day what it'll come down to. I think maybe I would be looking towards the Hearts game and thinking that we can get Pittman Holt back to kind of a wee bit of fitness? Can we keep Shinnie's run of form going? Can we get Bruce Anderson a couple of goals to, kind of boost the confidence to get him in fire? And I think maybe that's the way that I would be kind of looking at it, to maybe, and also just in that way, you're hoping that avoids any kind of banana peels. You've seen at times where teams to make too many changes and then it becomes a wee bit lack of like fluidity, and then that's when upsets can happen. Not that it can't happen, playing like a full team, but I think that's perhaps the way that maybe Dave will be approaching it.
Yeah, it's a difficult one to call. We obviously confirmed the signing of, I think it's pronounced Luigi De Lucas, during the week from FC Haka through in Finland. Is it maybe an opportunity to give him some minutes from the start, see what he can bring to the team in a game that you'd think shouldn't cause us too many problems, but just getting him familiar with the team. As you say, is it a Curtis Guthrie maybe coming into the side who's needing a few minutes here or there? Maybe the likes of Dylan Bahambula as well, just for that creative spark, bringing him into the side too. There's a few players that you could bring in, but as you said, it's a good headache for Davey to have. Whether he makes kind of 5-6 changes to the team, probably still has a pretty strong team on the pitch that could do the job, but he's got those options to come off the bench as well. Or does he try and stick with a team that's got 2 very good results back to back on the road and try and, as you say, keep that momentum going for the game against Hearts, which has proven to be quite a big game with the way the results worked for us last night. So yeah, it's going to be a difficult one to call, but Angus, what are you predicting then?
I'm going to go for a rare back-to-back. We've scored 4 goals in just 2 weeks. I'm going to go for 4-0 Livingston.
Oh, he's going big.
He's going big. He's going bold.
He's going big and bold. That would be a repeat of our last visit there, 4-0.
There you go. Alan Forrest has scored twice as well.
Oh, of course you remember it because Alan scored. You've still got posters of him. I can see them on your screen.
No. See with the new calendar, is it weird that I'm going to take everybody's play? I'm going to cut faces out of them and put Alan Forrest on every single one of them. Slightly
creepy, and I would probably I might send Alan Forrest a wee DM just saying to lock his doors. But but I'm gonna what am I gonna go with? I'm torn between 3 and 4. Bugger it, I'm gonna go 4-0 as well.
4-0 as well. Oof.
I'm gonna go 4-0. I fancy wee Bruce to get on the score sheet. I think wee Bruce will have a wee field day at Ochilview. But guys, it would be great to see a really good support going through, good pricing for the game. As we say, got something sorted prior to the game for Livingston fans as well. So it would be really good to see a healthy away support and that terrace behind the goal cheering the Lions on, as I say, to the start of our Scottish Cup glory this season.
That's it for this week's episode of Talk Livi. Thanks again to every single one of you for tuning in week in and week out. If you can, we'd love to hear your feedback, so either leave us a review on iTunes or simply message us on Twitter, Facebook or Instagram.
As Angus said, we're on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Search Talk Livi to find us, and you'll find all the links to our weekly episodes on there as well. You can also find all our episodes, including this one, on all good podcast streaming sites, including iTunes and Spotify. We're also on YouTube, so don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If none of those options suit you, all you have to do is head to our website, talklivipodcast.libsyn.com, where you'll find every single episode we've done over the last few years.
That's it for this week. Thanks again to all our listeners for tuning in. Let's hope for another great week following the Lothians' finest football team.
Livingston, the Armenville Lions roar. Livingston, oh Livingston, realize our vision. Livingston, oh Livingston, into the Premier Division.